You ever walk into a thrift store and feel like something or someone is watching you? Well, for Daniel Harper, a 29-year-old IT technician from Dayton, Ohio, this wasn't just a feeling. It was the beginning of his nightmare. It was early November. The trees outside had turned that haunting shade of brown and red. Daniel was searching for a cheap Halloween decoration. He was always late with festive stuff. He drove down to a local thrift store called Red Barn Treasures, just off Route 35 in Dayton. As he browsed the back shelves stacked with dusty figurines and porcelain junk, something caught his eye. It was a doll, about 14 inches tall, blonde hair, white dress, but her eyes, they weren't plastic. They looked glassy, wet, like someone was trapped inside them. Daniel brought the doll home and placed it on his bookshelf between some Stephen King novels. But that night, something strange happened. Around 2:30 a.m., his TV turned on by itself. Static, no sound, just flickering. He got up, turned it off, and shrugged it off. Probably a glitch. But the doll wasn't on the shelf anymore. The next morning, Daniel found the doll sitting on the coffee table in his living room. He lived alone. No roommates. No pets. That's when the weird dreams began. Every night, Daniel would dream of a little girl crying in a field of fire. She kept whispering, "Find me. I'm still here." He started losing sleep. He'd wake up gasping, sweating, and every time, the doll had moved again. One night it was in the hallway, next on his bed, then inside his bathroom cabinet. Daniel finally decided to dig into the doll's past. He went back to Red Barn Treasures. The owner, a 68-year-old woman named Nancy Briggs, looked pale when he mentioned the doll. That doll came from a house fire over in Oakwood. The girl who owned it, she didn't survive. Nancy refused to take it back. The little girl's name was Emily Spencer. She died in a house fire in 1997. The only thing they found unharmed in the rubble was that doll. Locals believed Emily's soul got trapped in the doll. Now things got worse. Lights flickered constantly, knocking sounds on the walls. And once, Daniel heard laughter coming from the attic. One night, he woke up to find the doll standing at the foot of his bed. Not sitting, not leaning, standing, with blood on her hands. Daniel called a local paranormal team from Columbus. They set up thermal cams, EMF detectors, all the usual stuff. At exactly 3:08 a.m., the EMF spiked off the charts. The camera caught the doll, moving by itself. But here's the worst part. When they reviewed the audio later, a voice whispered, "You shouldn't have taken me." Daniel tried to destroy the doll. He poured gasoline and set it on fire in the backyard. It screamed. He swears he heard a girl scream as the flames engulfed the doll. The fire ended. The doll was gone, or so he thought. A few weeks later, Daniel moved out of the house. But last week, he got a package. No return address. Inside was the same doll, clean, smiling, and holding a burnt photo of Daniel sleeping. This isn't just another ghost story. It's something verified by police, doctors, and a priest. What happened at 3860 Carolina Street in Gary, Indiana in 2011 still haunts those who were part of it. A story where children weren't evil, just deeply affected. Latoya Ammons moved into the Carolina Street house with her mother Rosa and her 3 children. The house was plain, a little old, but affordable. It seemed like a fresh start. Within days, strange things began. It started with black flies on the porch in the middle of winter. Every night, Rosa heard footsteps in the basement, but no one was ever there. The lights flickered without cause. Doors creaked open on their own. They began to sense being watched, especially near the stairs. The kids weren't acting possessed, but they weren't themselves either. The youngest, Benny, stopped speaking much. He stared at corners and whispered to himself. Nicole began waking up from nightmares, saying, "I see shadows in the room." Jada, the middle child, became withdrawn and overly quiet, even scared to be alone. The family doctor couldn't find anything wrong. A psychologist suggested stress, but things got worse. One social worker reported Nicole fainting when asked about the house. The case was flagged. Father Maginot was asked to meet them. He sensed heaviness in the air. Father Maginot prayed in the house. The children didn't scream or convulse, but they looked tired, blank, like something had drained them. During his prayer, he heard knocks. The air turned cold. He declared the house spiritually unsafe and asked the bishop for approval to bless it. Latoya and her family moved out soon after. The landlord eventually sold the house. Years later, paranormal investigator Zach Bagans bought the property. He spent one night there and left convinced that something unnatural lingered. Not all haunted houses scream. Some whisper. Some change people slowly. At 3860 Carolina Street, the house didn't attack the children it unsettled.